The worst war you will ever fight is not fought with weapons. It is not fought with arguments, screams, or clever comebacks. It is fought in complete silence. And the other person won't even know they lost until it's too late. Psychological setup. The trap. You have someone in your life right now. Think about them. A colleague who subtly undermines you. A friend who competes in secret. A family member who drains your energy and calls it love. Every time you see their name on your phone, your chest tightens. Every conversation leaves you feeling smaller, confused, or exhausted. And you've tried everything. You tried explaining yourself. You tried setting boundaries. You tried confrontation. You tried being the bigger person. Nothing worked. Or worse, every time you fought back, you looked like the problem. Sound familiar? Here is the brutal truth nobody tells you about toxic people. They are not strong. They are not smart. They are not winning because they are better than you. They are winning because they understand something you don't. They understand that your reaction is their fuel. Your anger is their food. Your frustration is their victory. Machiavelli understood this 500 years ago. He watched powerful men get destroyed, not by armies, but by provocateurs. He saw kings lose their thrones because they couldn't resist responding to insults. And he discovered a terrifying law of human psychology. The person who controls your emotions controls you. And the moment you react, you have already lost. Escalating insight. The trap you keep walking into. Let me show you exactly how they trap you. Toxic people don't attack your body. They attack your identity. They make a small comment that questions your competence. They give you a compliment that feels like an insult. They exclude you in a way that looks accidental. They push your buttons just hard enough to make you react, but soft enough to deny everything. And what do? You defend yourself. You explain. You prove them wrong. You try to set the record straight. You think you are standing up for yourself. But here is what is actually happening. Every time you explain, you give them evidence that their opinion matters to you. Every time you defend, you confirm that they have the power to disturb your peace. Every time you react, you hand them exactly what they want, your energy, your time, and your emotional state. Machiavelli wrote, "Never do an enemy a small injury." He meant that when you strike back weakly, you don't defeat them, you just make them more careful. But when you don't strike back at all, when you give them nothing, that is when they begin to destroy themselves. Think about the last time someone really upset you. You probably spent hours replaying the conversation in your head. You thought of the perfect comeback. You imagined telling them off. You rehearsed what you should have said. And while you were doing that, they were living their life, not thinking about you at all. Your anger became your prison, and they didn't even have to pay rent. Emotional tension, the uncomfortable mirror. Let me make you genuinely uncomfortable. You believe you are fighting for justice, for respect, for fairness. But here is the question you have never asked yourself. What if your reaction is not strength? What if your reaction is addiction? Every time someone disrespects you, and you feel that rush of anger, that urge to fight back, that need to prove yourself, that is not your dignity defending itself. That is your ego needing validation. And toxic people can smell that need from across the room. They know you will react. They know you will explain. They know you will try to convince them that you are right. And every time you do, they win. Not because they convinced anyone, because they proved that they can control you. And once they know they can control you, they will never stop testing your limits. Machiavelli observed that men are driven more by their need to appear strong than by actual strength. You don't want to win. You want to be seen winning. But here is the truth that will change everything. The only way to truly destroy a toxic person is to make them irrelevant. And you make someone irrelevant by refusing to give them what they want. What do they want? Your attention, your emotional energy, your reaction, your time spent thinking about them. When you fight back, you give them attention. When you explain, you give them energy. When you get angry, you give them reaction. When you obsess, you give them time. They are starving for these things. And you have been feeding them for free. Deeper hidden truth, the silent destruction. So how do you actually destroy them without saying a word? You starve them. You cut off the supply. You become a black hole where their manipulation goes to die. Machiavelli understood something that modern psychology is only now confirming. The most devastating response to manipulation is not counter-manipulation. It is non-existence. When you give no reaction, no explanation, no emotional response, something strange happens in the toxic person's brain. They panic. Here is why. Toxic people operate on a feedback loop. They push, you react. They feel powerful. They push harder. You react harder. They feel even more powerful. Their entire sense of control depends on your reaction. When you suddenly give them nothing, their loop breaks. They push, nothing. They push harder, still nothing. They escalate, you remain calm. And slowly, silently, they begin to unravel. They start wondering what you know. They start questioning their own tactics. They start obsessing over why you aren't reacting. You are no longer their victim. You are their mystery. And mystery is the only thing toxic people truly fear, because they cannot manipulate what they cannot predict. Let me give you a specific example. Imagine a colleague who constantly makes passive-aggressive comments about your work. The old you would explain, defend, maybe get sharp. The new you does something different. They make a comment. You pause. You look at them calmly. You say nothing. Then you turn back to what you were doing. No anger, no defense, no explanation, just silence. What happens inside them? First, confusion. They expected a reaction. They rehearsed their next move based on your reaction. Now they have nothing. Second, self-doubt. They start wondering if their comment was as sharp as they thought. Maybe you didn't even notice. Third, escalation. They try again, harder this time. You do the same thing. Pause. Look. Silence. Move on. By the third time, something breaks inside them. They realize they cannot get to you. Their power is gone. Their game doesn't work. And the most beautiful part? You never said a word. You never lost your composure. You never gave them anything to use against you. You won without fighting. Identity shift moment. Becoming unreachable. This is where most people fail, because staying silent feels wrong. It feels like losing. It feels like being weak. Your ego screams at you to fight back, to prove yourself, to show them they can't treat you that way. But that is exactly what they want. Machiavelli wrote, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." The fool fights back immediately, loses control, and looks emotional. The wise man stays calm, observes, and lets the other person destroy themselves. And then, when the moment is right, the wise man removes them completely. Here is the identity shift you need to make today. Stop seeing yourself as someone who fights battles. Start seeing yourself as someone who doesn't enter the arena at all. When you refuse to play their game, you haven't lost. You have changed the game, and you are the only one who knows the new rules. Toxic people are experts at one thing, pulling you onto their battlefield. On their battlefield, they know every trap, every weak spot, every trick. You cannot win there, no matter how smart you are. The only way to win is to refuse to show up, build your own battlefield. And on your battlefield, the only rule is this: attention is currency, and you no longer spend it on people who don't deserve it. Think about the most powerful people you know. Do they argue with every critic? Do they explain themselves to every hater? Do they confront every disrespectful comment? No, they ignore. They move on. They conserve their energy for things that matter. And that silence is more devastating than any argument could ever be. The first weapon: strategic indifference. Let me break down the specific weapons you will use. These are not theories. These are psychological tactics. Use them exactly as described. Weapon 1. Strategic indifference. This means you stop caring about what toxic people think, say, or do. Not pretending. Actually not caring. How do you get there? You realize that their opinion of you is none of your business. Their judgment is a reflection of their own mind, not your reality. When you truly internalize this, their words lose all power. Practice this. The next time someone tries to provoke you, ask yourself one question. If I never saw this person again, would their opinion matter to me in 5 years? The answer is almost always no, so treat it that way now. Machiavelli said, "Men are so simple of mind that they will always believe what they want to believe." Toxic people want to believe they have power over you. Strategic indifference shows them they don't. And nothing breaks a toxic person faster than realizing they are irrelevant. The second weapon: the gray rock method. Weapon 2. Become a gray rock. Gray rocks are boring, uninteresting. They give nothing away. Toxic people feed on drama, emotion, and reaction. Starve them by becoming the most boring person they have ever tried to manipulate. When they gossip, you say, "Interesting," and change the subject. When they provoke, you nod slowly and walk away. When they try to pull you into drama, you respond with one-word answers, no emotion, no engagement, no fuel. Here is what happens inside a toxic person when you become a gray rock. First, they get bored. Their brain craves the dopamine rush of your reaction. You give them nothing. Second, they get frustrated. They try harder. They escalate. You remain calm. Third, they give up. They move on to someone who will feed their need. You haven't defeated them. You have made yourself too expensive to manipulate. And in the economy of toxic people, expensive prey is left alone. The third weapon, controlled absence. Weapon 3, controlled absence. Most people think presence is power. They think if they show up, speak up, and stand up, they win. But Machiavelli knew something different. Absence is often more powerful than presence. When a toxic person is in your life, you have been showing up. Every time. Reacting every time. Being present every time. And it hasn't worked. So try the opposite. Disappear, not dramatically, quietly, without explanation. Stop attending events where they will be present. Stop responding to their messages immediately. Stop being available. When they notice your absence, and they will be confused. Where did you go? Why aren't you reacting? What are you planning? Let them wonder. Your absence creates a vacuum. And toxic people hate vacuums because they cannot control them. While they are obsessing over why you disappeared, you are living your life. Peacefully. Strategically. Machiavelli observed that princes who stayed in their castles too often became predictable. And predictable leaders were easily overthrown. The same applies to you. Stop being predictable. Start being scarce. Scarcity creates value. Your absence will make you more powerful than your presence ever did. The fourth weapon, emotional containment. Weapon 4, emotional containment. This is the hardest one, but it is also the most effective. Toxic people need you to feel something. Anger, guilt, shame, insecurity, jealousy. Any emotion will do, because any emotion proves they matter. Your job is to feel nothing, or at least to show nothing. This doesn't mean you become a robot. It means you stop letting your emotions drive your actions. You feel anger? Good. Acknowledge it. Then don't act on it. You feel hurt? Fine. Process it later. Alone. Not in front of them. When you contain your emotions, you become unreadable. Toxic people rely on reading you. They watch your face, your tone, your body language. When you give them nothing to read, their entire strategy collapses. Practice this. The next time someone tries to upset you, imagine a glass wall between you and them. You can see them, you can hear them, but nothing they throw can touch you. Their words hit the glass and fall to the floor. You are safe on the other side. The fifth weapon, narrative control. Weapon 5, control the narrative, not the person. Toxic people spend enormous energy trying to control what others think of you. They gossip, they lie, they twist your words. Most people respond by defending themselves, explaining, correcting the record. This is a trap. You cannot control what toxic people say about you, but you can control what everyone else believes. Not by arguing, by living. When you live well, when you succeed, when you stay calm while they rage, the narrative writes itself. People are not stupid. They watch. They notice. They see who is stable and who is chaotic. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Your reputation is not built by your words. It is built by your consistent actions over time. 1. 2. The moment when you contain your emotions, you become unreadable. 2. 2. 2. They watch. They notice, they see who is stable and who is chaotic. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Your reputation is not built by your words. It is built by your consistent actions over time. Stop correcting every lie. Start building a life so undeniable that lies become laughable. When you achieve this, you haven't destroyed the toxic person. You have rendered them irrelevant. And for a toxic person, irrelevance is a fate worse than defeat. The shift from victim to ghost. Here is where everything changes. You have been playing defense your entire life, reacting, explaining, defending, fighting, and you are exhausted. It is time to play offense, silent offense. From today forward, You are no longer someone who can be reached. You are a ghost. Ghosts don't argue. Ghosts don't explain. Ghosts don't defend themselves. Ghosts simply disappear. And people who encounter ghosts never forget them. When a toxic person tries to engage you, you don't engage back. You become mist. They cannot grab mist. They cannot punch mist. They cannot argue with mist. Mist simply exists, and then it is gone. This is not weakness. This is the highest form of strength. It takes more discipline to stay silent than to scream. It takes more power to walk away than to fight. It takes more confidence to ignore than to prove yourself. Machiavelli understood that the most dangerous person in any room is the one who cannot be provoked, the one who sits quietly, watches everything, and reveals nothing. That person is not a victim. That person is a predator in waiting. Become that person. The final stage, their self-destruction. Now let me tell you what will happen when you apply these principles. It will not be easy at first. Toxic people will escalate. They will push harder. They will try every trick they know, because they can feel you slipping away. And they are desperate to pull you back. This is the most dangerous moment. Most people give up here. They think the silence isn't working because the toxic person is getting louder. But the opposite is true. The louder they get, the closer they are to breaking. Stay calm. Stay silent. Stay absent. And then, one day, something beautiful will happen. They will self-destruct. Without your reaction, their behavior becomes exposed. People around them will start to notice. They will say things that used to be aimed at you. Now they will say them to everyone, and everyone will see. Because you are no longer there to absorb their chaos. They will lash out, make mistakes, burn bridges, and you will watch from a distance. Quiet, peaceful, free. You didn't destroy them. They destroyed themselves. You just stopped saving them from their own destruction. The psychological payoff. Why silence is violence to toxic people. Let me explain the psychology one more time, because this is the core of everything. Toxic people need your reaction to regulate their own emotions. When they feel insecure, they provoke you to feel powerful. When they feel invisible, they attack you to feel seen. When they feel out of control, they manipulate you to feel in control. Your reaction is their medication. When you stop providing it, they go into withdrawal. They become erratic, unstable, desperate, and eventually, they collapse under the weight of their own unresolved emptiness. You did not cause their collapse. You simply stopped preventing it. And that is the most elegant destruction of all. Machiavelli wrote, "He who builds on the people builds on mud." Toxic people build their entire identity on the reactions of others. When you withdraw, their foundation turns to mud, and mud cannot hold anything. The final identity shift. Becoming untouchable. You started the script feeling trapped, feeling frustrated, feeling like you couldn't escape the toxic people in your life. Look at how much has shifted. You now understand that your reaction was never strength. It was addiction. You now understand that silence is not weakness. It is the ultimate weapon. You now understand that absence is not running away. It is strategic repositioning. Here is your final frame for today. From this moment forward, you are not available. Not for their drama, not for their manipulation, not for their games. You are not a target. You are not a victim. You are not even an opponent. You are simply elsewhere. And elsewhere is a place they cannot reach. Elsewhere is peace. Elsewhere is power. Elsewhere is freedom. The toxic people in your life will not change. They will never become good for you. But you don't need them to change. You just need to become unreachable. Machiavelli's darkest lesson is also his most liberating. You cannot control other people. You cannot make them treat you well. You cannot force them to respect you. But you can control your own door. You can decide who gets in and who stays out. You can build a fortress around your peace and never let the unworthy enter again. The closing command. So here is what you do tonight. Think of the toxic person who has been draining you and say goodbye. Not to their face, not in a dramatic message, in your own mind. You release them, not for their sake, for yours. You stop giving them your attention, your energy, your thoughts. You become a ghost to them, and you become fully alive to yourself. The world will tell you that you need closure, that you need to confront them, that you need to stand up for yourself. The world is wrong. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is nothing. Sometimes the most powerful word is no word at all. Sometimes the only way to win is to refuse to play. You are not weak for walking away. You are not a coward for staying silent. You are not losing for not fighting. You are a strategist. And strategists don't fight battles they have already won. Your victory is not their defeat. Your victory is your peace. And peace that does not depend on anyone else is the only peace that lasts. Now sit with that and ask yourself one final question. Who in your life have you been feeding with your reactions? And when will you finally stop?